Hello and welcome to a Believing Hard podcast, a podcast about video games and the like. Today I am your host, Mario8th. Find me across the internet, all at Mario8th. You can find me on Twitter if you're still on Twitter, or Tumblr, or co-host, or ggapp.io if you'd like to see the video games I'm playing. You can find my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Mario8th, or the audio version of this podcast at anchor.fm/Mario8th, and all the links I will be talking about now and in the future of this episode will be in the show notes, so go ahead and check those out if you'd like to click on anything. So anyway, let's jump right into the news that I pulled out this week. First of all, look. NieR Automata is one of my favorite games, and I really liked NieR Replicant too. And at the end of Automata, Yoko Taro did a thing. And it seems like he's going to be doing a similar thing with the gacha game he writes for SINoAlice, if that's how you pronounce it. And I think it is brilliant. And so I'm gonna talk around this for the most part because I don't want to spoil NieR Automata, and I don't want to spoil the similar-ish thing that they did for NieR Replicant, at least the original version. But Yoko Taro is the writer and I think director is what it said in the article I pulled for this gacha game SINoAlice. If you don't know what a gacha game is, it's a game where you spend money to get anime girl JPEGs and then you do some sort of game afterwards. It's not a game where you spend money, it's where you spend money to get a random anime girl avatar or maybe a weapon, not an avatar character, or maybe a weapon, and they have rankings, and some are better, some are worse, and it's I don't play gacha games. I don't play them at all. I hate the game design ethos. If I'm going to spend money on a game, I want to get the thing I want, not get a random chance that the gacha machine will pop out the anime JPEG that I want. Anyway, SINoAlice is another one of those, but it is going to be ending soon. And for its final mission, Yoko Taro has heavily hinted that you need to finish everything in this game before you do this final mission. And I just think that's brilliant. Because in these gacha games, these games that pry on the people who are most prone to gambling addictions, getting them to put in tons and tons and tons of money, Yoko Taro is over here basically saying, hey, you might not have access to any of those anime JPEGs in the very near future. And I think it's beautiful. Now, I was sold on Remedy when I played Control, but am I sold enough to try their spooky Alan Wake games? Yes. Am I sold enough to try their multiplayer games? Absolutely not, no. So, Remedy recently posted, and I'm reading this out of the article off of IGN, they posted that they are currently working on 5 different games and kind of the progress of each of them. Now, instantly, 2 of them were multiplayer PvE, 4-player co-op PvE games, or player versus everyone, and I am just instantly not into that. I'm sorry, I'm just never going to be much of a multiplayer video game type person, so I'm writing both of those off immediately, even though one of them is based off of my personal favorite of theirs, Control. So I'm sorry, Control World, hopefully people like it. I trust that Remedy will be able to make a pretty good game, because Control was great, but I'm just not going to touch them. Now the other one, one of the other ones that they talked about was Alan Wake 2, which is the most, most soon-ish. The one that is most eminent is Alan Wake 2. Now I bought Alan Wake 1 for the remaster for PS5. One of these days I'll get to it, but part of the reason why I've been putting it off is I really don't like spooky games. I don't like being scared. It just stresses me out in a bad way when I'm playing these video games, but they made Control, and I kind of want to see what Alan Wake is all about. I watched part of a Let's Play for the DLC years ago, but I want to go back and play through it myself, and it's been sitting on my TV stand because I want to get to it for months, maybe a full year at this point. I think I bought it around the holidays, and this is coming out in November 2nd, so almost a full year it's been sitting there. I'm going to get to it because, and even though Alan Wake 2 looks a lot scarier, I trust Control. I trust Remedy because of Control, and I want to try it out. And that's coming next year, so I've got a lot less time to finally get to that. So I should do that as well. Then they also posted about the remake they're doing of the Rockstar game. What is it? I'm looking for the name. It's the... Why can't I remember the name? A Max Payne 1 and 2 remake is the other thing they're working on. That's the furthest away from now, so... But I also I'm not a fan of Max Payne. Maybe I would like them. I've just never played them, but that's also what they're working on. Netflix has gobbled up another studio, this time the ones behind the cute-looking Animal Crossing-like Cozy Grove. They bought Spry Fox. Now, I never played Cozy Grove. Some of it sounded interesting to me, the other kind of didn't. But now I think if history is to go, it's probably going to be on the Netflix app soon. So if anyone with a Netflix account wants to play it, they can just play it on the app. There's a whole bunch of other good games on the app that more people should probably play, myself included. I mainly wanted to bring this up because, oh my gosh, what is Netflix doing? They really seem like they want to join in this video game acquisition town? This video game acquisition craze that everybody has been big into recently, and it's just another studio has been purchased. Embraced, as you might say. Because after being embraced just a few months ago, the former Square Enix studio Onoma has been shut down, really making me feel good about my decision to not be in the video games market just yet. Is market the right word? That's the word I wrote. I don't think it's the right word. I think I meant to say something else. Either way, I'm currently not in the video game world, either video game journalism, because G4, layoffs and then shutting down, Fanbyte being shut down, just a whole bad time for the video game journalism. Also, and then right now, and then also bad time because it looks like studios are being shut down. Now, this studio, Onoma, was the studio behind the Go games back when they were part of Square Enix, so Hitman Go, Lara Croft Go, Deus Ex Go, and from what I heard, a lot of them were pretty good. I never tried any of them, but a lot of people who I listened to said that they were actually pretty solid puzzle games. They were also working on Avatar: The Last Airbender mobile MMO, which I like Avatar: The Last Airbender a lot. I don't have any interest in playing a mobile MMO. Anyway, it seems to have been cancelled because the Embracer Group, who bought Onoma from Square Enix just a couple months ago, has shut down the studio. Now, to me, this reads as the Embracer Group wanted the list of IPs from Square Enix. They didn't necessarily want all the studios that came with it, too. And so I get it. I get wanting to have Lara Croft and Deus Ex and all that stuff being embraced by the Embracer Group, but it also really sucks that Onoma is just completely gone. Oh, apparently known as Square Enix Montreal, they are just gone. They lost their jobs, and that's a bummer. I hope everyone is able to land on their feet. It's a crummy way to go out. You weren't even able to put out the game you were working on. That's just a big bummer. I didn't read anything about it, but my hope is that these people weren't laid off. They were just dispersed through other studios within that have been embraced. Either way, it really sucks. My heart goes out to all the developers affected. And again, like I mentioned, I do kind of want to go into video game development one of these days. More on the programming side, probably, because that is my current job. But I guess there's no avoiding this type of stuff. So good luck everyone who is going to be affected by this shutterage. Is shutterage a word? I don't know. So PlayStation Plus isn't doing so hot, huh? Came out that they lost nearly 2 million PlayStation Plus subscribers since Sony revamped PlayStation Plus as a whole. Now, I wasn't included in that category. I just finally remembered, oh, I don't use this service, I want to cancel, and I did it a couple days ago, so I'm not included in this. Maybe I'll be included if they lose even more in the next couple months. But that being said, I get it. As a person who I was only on the lowest end of PlayStation Plus. And I already mentioned in this podcast I don't play multiplayer games, so I'm not using it for that. And then, yeah, technically I would get 3 games or 2 games in a DLC every month for being subscribed, but I mean, I didn't play any of them. If I want to play a game, I'm in the position where I don't play many games anymore. I mean, I play a lot of games, but I have to be very selective of which games I want to play. I'm sorry, Alan Wake remake sitting on my counter. I will get to eventually. So I'm not going to play the free game I get because I don't want to play it as much as another game. And so why am I wasting $10 a month or whatever on this service that gives me games when I can just spend less money going out and buying a game I wanted when it's on sale anyway? And then the higher tiers also don't even offer that much. I can't tell you what they give. I know you get older games or more games, but it's just nothing to me personally, so I understand why people are going down. Now, in the article I read off of IGN, they also said maybe it's cited to, well, the PlayStation 5 numbers are pretty high. It's just that people with PS4s seem to be slowing down their subscriptions, so Sony's plan is to pump out more PS5s, but of course that's their plan. And you know, maybe it'll work. Maybe I'm the weirdo who doesn't like PS Plus and doesn't understand the benefit of it. Maybe everyone else is just waiting to be able to get a PS5 so they can get the full benefit list. And that is it for the news. And anyway, let's move on to what I've been doing. Not much, lol. I beat Psychonauts. That's pretty much the only thing I did. I 100% completed it. I had a pretty good time doing it. I understand why a lot of people really liked this game, especially like the last 5 levels, excluding the final level. There was some really cool stuff going on. They didn't nail it, but so many of the levels were so excellently designed, and I had a really good time trying to figure out what they were doing. And yeah, the physics weren't great. I really didn't like any of the platforming, but especially the acrobatics, and the combat was bad. And even the levels that were interestingly designed were still hampered by the actual controlling of the game, by the platforming, by the combat. But they were still really cool levels, and I'm holding out a lot of hope to see what I'm going to get when I eventually get to Psychonauts 2. And that's pretty much it for what I've been doing. The one thing I did decide when I beat Psychonauts is I might have enough time to fully beat another game before God of War Ragnarok comes out, but I'm just going to wait. In the meantime, I'll watch YouTube. I've gotten a lot of editing for Super Mario in Review down, and I'm going to get more as the time goes. Please watch Super Mario in Review, youtube.com/Mario8th, and the link to the playlist is in the show notes, as well as everything else I've talked about today. And so I've just decided to wait. I've been playing RuneScape. I am 2 weeks behind on my podcast, and RuneScape is pretty much my only podcast game. Just chill out, press buttons to make the number go higher, and focus more on a podcast than the game. So I'll be doing a lot of that. Meaning next week, which this podcast is coming out the day before God of War comes out, I won't have anything to say because I will not have played any video game, but I will have gotten a lot of editing done. Speaking of editing, it's time for me to finish this podcast and start editing it because it is over. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Again, all the links to this stuff I've talked about, including all the social medias I'm on. So maybe not Twitter soon, but Co-Host is a new one. Maybe check that out. It's kind of like Tumblr, which I also still use. And the audio version, I'm on podcast services around different things, or you can go to my YouTube channel. All the links are in the show notes. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode of a podcast. If you would like to leave a rating about that podcast, go ahead and do it. People say that's good. Leave a comment if you're on the YouTube version. And I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.